Barely able to contain his excitement, a grin pulled at his lips as he set up for the upcoming pass, shooting the puck past the goalie and then lining up to do it again. Adrenaline was coursing through his veins, his heart was pounding, and he couldn't wait to call his dad to let him know what was going on. More than likely, his parents would fly out for the game, since he always played better when they were there, and they'd probably catch his sister Casey's game the following day. Like Karson, Casey was one of the best, too. They were both offered full-ride scholarships to Chicago, and that was the main reason they left Wisconsin, not wanting to put a financial burden on their parents, even though they could afford it if it came down to it. They both worked hard to make sure their college was paid for. It was just the way the King kids were raised. You worked hard for the things you wanted. After doing the drill again, Karson found himself behind Grady and tapped him in the shin. "Big day tomorrow," he said, leaning on his stick. Grady nodded. "I know. Nervous as shit." Karson laughed as he shook his head. "I'm not. This is what we want. It's ours. This time next year, we'll be in the pros." "Or the AHL," Grady said, always the level-headed one between the two. "Sure, and we will be one step closer to the pros. We got this." Grady could only nod before kicking off to accept the pass that he quickly shot toward the goal, but the goalie stopped him. When the whistle blew again, Karson dug into the ice, accepting the puck before shooting it hard to the goal through the 5-hole. He hadn't missed a shot yet and didn't intend to. Being the captain of the Cats meant being the best, and he wasn't going to accept anything less. Skating toward where the next line was, he glanced up at the stands to see who had braved the cold to come watch them practice. Usually the guys' girls would come out, some parents, and maybe even Casey if she woke up on time. But she didn't come often, though. Not that he minded, since he never went to her practices. His stare traveled lazily over the almost empty stands as he waited for his turn. When his gaze met a pair of pale green eyes, he stopped dead in his tracks. He had no clue who she was. He hadn't seen her around campus either, but he wished he had. She wasn't his normal type, but that didn't matter as he watched her move her gaze from his to look out on the ice. He was thankful she looked away, since it gave him the opportunity to enjoy her without her knowing. Her legs were folded up against her chest with her arms wrapped around them. She wore a large Chicago Cat sweatshirt. Her jeans hugged her every curve, and he wanted nothing more than for her to stand so he could drink in every single detail of her. From where he stood, though, he could see that her eyes were large and round, framed by long, dark lashes. Her cheeks were a bright pink color, maybe from the cold, or maybe because she felt him watching her, but he couldn't stop. Her lips were a sweet, light pink color and pursed as her eyes followed the guy's. He wanted to know who she was watching, instantly jealous as his eyes traveled up to where her blonde hair peeked out in spikes under the thick knit hat she wore. She had a pixie cut, something he wasn't really into. Usually, he liked long hair, but something about this girl had him drooling when he should have been paying attention to the game. Nothing ever distracted him, but this girl had the power to. That should scare him, make him want to run the other way. But he only wanted to run to her. "Why the hell are you staring at my sister?" Forcing his gaze from the girl, Karson looked back at Grady and asked, "That's your sister?" He nodded. "Yeah, stop staring at her before I kick your ass." The whistle blew, signaling it was time for the next in line to go. Karson looked back to see it was his turn, but he didn't want to move. He wanted to know more about Grady's sister, despite the fact that Grady would very much follow through with his threat. Digging in, he headed for the goal, ready for the pass. When it came, he shot it right into the goalie's glove. Not good. Letting out a breath, he knew he should have taken that little mess up as a sign saying he needed to ignore his attraction.